Hard to talk about ETN from a redraft perspective and flip over to the Dynasty channel, but that's what we're doing here. And if you haven't gotten to know my content by now, a lot of times we do that. We talk about something in a redraft context and we still cover it in Dynasty from Dynasty perspectives and angles, because on the main channel, which the link is in the description, The Fantasy Football Show on YouTube, it's not a redraft channel. It's an all-encompassing Superflex, redraft, Dynasty. But we do like to take a hard-hitting topic like the one we just talked about on the main channel, bring it to the Dynasty and do a Dynasty spin. Rumor that is circling around Chicago, which is coming from just Chicago-based like Twitter accounts that are just talking to talk, I think. There's no indication that this is true, but that the Bears are targeting ETN. Now, would they, could they, should they? Yeah. But we're not hearing anything from Ben Johnson. Oh, we're going after ETN. It makes some sense from a stylistic standpoint, but ETN literally just went on record saying he does not want to play in the cold. And he is a free agent. He is a free agent. So it's possible that a bag could convince him, like, hey, I'm getting sent packing from this Jaguar offense and I can't find a home. Chicago's offering a bag. Is that entirely possible? Again, ETN is a free agent. He's one of the top free agents. And this isn't just a free agent board. This is a running back landing spot board. That's why you see love on it. But my point being, look, this guy does not want to play in the cold. But we'll kick it around. We'll kick it around just in case something happens. And we'll also talk about ETN from a Jaguars dynasty perspective as well. I got bad news for you guys. I got real bad news. I looked this up right before we went live because I had a feeling that this was somewhere around this territory, like his birthday's coming up. Dude turns 27 years old in T-minus 1 day. Tomorrow he turns 27 years old. Toten is definitely the dynasty gem here from a cost perspective. We're going to break all that down and more. The Fantasy Football Show Graveyard Edition, ladies and gentlemen. It begins right now. File on in.
You're watching a
Graveyard Stream.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Dynasty Fantasy Football Show.
You're watching the Running Back Show.
You're watching the Running Back Show on the Graveyard Stream, on the Dynasty channel, all live, doing it live. 26 years old, turning 27 tomorrow. Well, for me in 2 days in number, because it's about 45 minutes before midnight my time. But in Eastern time zones, it is already January 25. And that means he's turning 27 years old in 1 day. So at the end of the discussion here, let me start with the end. I know that's not necessarily smart because, somebody might tune out. But I don't need to play games with you guys. You guys love this content anyway. You're staying because that's what we do here is we cook. So I'll give you the ending right now. This is the better prospect because this guy's young. He is Cohen's guy. He showed a lot of explosion, showed a lot of promise, showed a lot of potential. And while I do believe in a redraft setting, the Jaguars are going to intend to bring back Travis Etienne. I just don't know what that's going to look like contract-wise. I don't know. That's certainly going to set this man back a little bit, but the injuries and the age factor will certainly open this door back up to Tootin at some point, even if Etienne grabs a hold of the job for one more year. But there was a time, as much as we love Travis Etienne, and we do love Etienne around these parts, we absolutely do. There was a time where it felt like the stock was dropping and that Tootin was going to get used. And then Etienne went ahead and, again, that bogus news, in my opinion. But Etienne ended up, kind of reclaiming his role, and Tootin would get hurt or fumble the ball or, something would happen and Etienne would just go on a tear. The next game, we're like, this is a Tootin game. And then it'd be all Etienne. It just never grabbed a hold, right? It never stuck. It was never sticky at all. The situation, the momentum was never sticky. I think it could be this year. I think that we're going to walk into this year expecting Etienne to probably be fire all year because of how good he was last year. But at the end of the day, he'll probably get hurt. There'll be something that opens the door to Tootin, and Tootin they won't be able to take off the field. Running backs get paid so little, too. It's not like even if they paid Etienne 10 mil, or I don't even know if they're going to do that. He's 27 years old, but let's just say for like argument's sake, they pay him $10+ million a year on a team-friendly deal that really equates to like they can move on after the second year. It won't be 1 year. It'll be a team-friendly deal that they can move on after the second year. If they get a lot out of ETN next year and then midway through, Tootin starts getting used like crazy and they waste a year, it happens all the time. Like that's not something, especially at a clip of 10 mil per year in an annual salary. There'll be guarantees up front. I get all that, but this is a running back salary. Teams are not as afraid to burn that money at that level. So, kind of hard to pinpoint when or how or if, even though we believe it to be true, Tootin will become the number one running back in an elite fantasy football running back potentially, but it's certainly it's in the cards. And I think because ETN's a risk right now, you certainly have the risk factor that makes it hard to invest in ETN. So from a dynasty perspective, ETN's a great buy. He's a great hold. He's a great veteran to have on your roster. He's obviously great to cuff to Tootin. If you have Tootin and somebody has ETN, they're looking at dynasty to move off him at 27 years old. Send him a birthday reminder tomorrow or the day after. Once he turns 27, you could just say, ETN just turned 27, bro. I've got Tootin. Let's make this painless. I send you Tootin in some very expensive deal because Tootin's the man, or you give me ETN at a reasonable price. I'm not overpaying, and we try and, accommodate that. ETN trade value in Dynasty, it's hard to say that you can get much for him at the end of the day because, you think about the players you'd want to swap him out for if you had ETN. And I do think it's good to trade him in Dynasty, and it's good to buy him in Dynasty. It's good to hold him in Dynasty. He's everything because if you have him, you want to get rid of him on the high. If you don't have him, the person wanting to do that, you want to take advantage of them. In a Dynasty startup, everyone's going to avoid him because he's 27 years old in 1 day from now. So he's super cheap. So whatever angle you're at, it's pretty attractive. Now, trading ETN away, he's a free agent. You might want to wait a little bit, let that free agency buzz kick in. Let, the Bears rumors, if there is a Bears rumor, again, we'll talk about that, I guess. Let's talk about it now. This is not anything I expect to happen. ETN made it abundantly clear he doesn't want to play in the cold weather. He's going to go to Chicago. The only thing that would make this happen, and I don't think that the rumor is true, I think the rumor is speculative, and people are trying to bank on a good fit and say, oh, yeah, Ben Johnson's definitely going to look into this. Let's pretend we got inside information. And according to my reports, this is something that's coming down the pike right now. And ETN's going to Chicago probably. He's a free agent, could go anywhere. He doesn't like the cold, but don't listen to that. ETN's on the move. This is just a calculated, educated guess. It doesn't even factor in ETN's wishes because he's a free agent. He's not getting traded. He gets to decide where he wants to go. Plus, he's a very, very laid-back dude that probably wants to give a hometown discount. He's probably begging to give a hometown discount to stay and play where he's been believed in. He loves that. He's such a good dude. He's not somebody that worries about wins and losses. So, and Cohen wants to bring him back. You know that. So the odds are he will come back. And that dampers this guy's now dynasty value, no doubt about it. But that's also what keeps him cheap. Also what keeps him a very attractive buy, draft, and hold. So no matter what angle we're looking at, if you own ETN, he's a good sell. You just got to creatively sell. He's a good hold, and he's a good draft. It just depends on where. And you know what? I don't even have to race these arrows. These arrows are the same thing for Tootin. I'd almost say Tootin's hard to trade away. This is almost irrelevant. Not that you wouldn't if the price is right, but he's a great buy low, and he's a great draft because he's in an unknown purgatory of value that no one's going to give him the benefit of the doubt for. As for a fantasy trade, that's where I was going to go with this. If you were going to try and trade him away, you got to sell him in a creative way, or you just kind of let the wheels fall off, probably. If you're trading ETN, you're going to want to target a player that doesn't make sense because you're going to add more to it. These 1-for-1s won't work. Who do you want? Well, I want Scatterboo. No one's going to give you Scatterboo for Etienne straight up. This guy's young, just starting his career. This guy just turns 27 tomorrow. So if you want to do this, you're giving up Etienne and something. What's that something? Multiple second rounders. If you give up a first rounder, is that crazy? Kind of, but kind of not. But maybe you can shoot for the moon. Maybe you can go get a doubted Hendy because his workload, as you're watching this video right now, the two conference championship games have not happened yet. So the Denver Broncos are about to face off against the New England Patriots, and Hendy keeps getting misused. He's not getting full volume. So if you're watching this and Hendy blows up in the Super Bowl, if they even get there, I think they will. Again, this is being recorded before the conference championship games. But if he doesn't get utilized in the conference championship or the Super Bowl, then what we're saying now will hold true. So keep that in mind as you watch this video later. I'm trying to future protect it. If Hendy ends up becoming a volatile player, an ambiguous enigma walking into 2026 because of the championship, aka not getting used, Super Bowl and conference championship games, this is doable. Hendy's now a flexible piece that nobody knows how to value. You could do something like this. You throw in a first, you might be able to throw an extra piece in here. Another additive would be like, let's say you're going after a doubted CeeDee Lamb. No one's going to do this, but if you're able to get rid of this wide receiver that's playing great or you don't necessarily believe in, and you can make this work, now you can go get a doubted Lamb. You can go get doubted players. Lamar Jackson would be one of my favorite players to go get using Etienne and something. I don't know if this is doable with multiple second rounders, a late like 1.11. This is a 1 QB, obviously. In a super flex, it'd be near impossible to get a quarterback in this context. But these are all things that I would do to get out of the Etienne value. But I'm selling high only. And I'm certainly giving up seconds. I give up 2 times 2 for Etienne in a trade that gets me Etienne, a veteran player that can play like a top 7 to 12 running back for maybe 2 more years, but at least 1 more year. I'm drafting Etienne at the equivalent draft value that equates to this. So Etienne's a fantastic buy, hold, sell. Tootin's a great buy, hold, not really sell, but if you have them, I don't want you to sell them anyway. That's where we're at. Again, not sure that this is going to have any legs to it. Even if it does, those legs will develop later. And somebody that's predicting that Etienne is going to be sought after by the Bears is guessing. It's good guesswork, but they're guessing and everyone's dressing it up as if it's like news out there. But we address it. Anytime there's big news, we'll address it. I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you if it's real. I'll tell you if I think it's real. Maybe I won't know, but I can give you my best guesstimation. And I'll give you my best analysis if it were to come true, like I just have kind of told you. If he went to Chicago, it would be glorious. He'd be probably better in Chicago than he is in Jacksonville. And he'd be getting paid to be the guy. So right now it's like Tootin's like scratching at the surface. Even if they bring him back on a hometown discount, Tootin's still going to be scratching at the surface. And not that Monangai wouldn't, but if Etienne's going over to get paid, he's going to be utilized. But he doesn't like the cold weather. He doesn't play well in the cold weather, doesn't like the cold weather. Why would we want him in Chicago anyway? Phone lines are open. Dial in, dial.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
What an interesting topic, though. Especially I like piggybacking these dynasty topics off of the main channel's topics because we're just talking about it. It's like we dive straight into the dynasty hardcore angle. And so you're going to see that a lot on this channel, that when we go live, it will be piggybacking off the main channel's like 8 p.m. show or midnight Eastern show. And then we come and talk about the dynasty angle like in an aggressive fashion. So if anybody has a Etienne trade question or anything dynasty related, call in and we'll tackle that. And appreciate everybody here. Make sure you're following me on both the YouTube channels. The links are in the description. This is the Dynasty channel. We're going to grow this bad boy, make this one of the best Dynasty, if not the best Dynasty channel on YouTube. And then on top of that, like, you know, even if it rivals the main channel someday, that's good news. I mean, we want it to. The main channel is obviously doing great. We're almost at 38K on the main channel. This channel, you know, we're growing it, so keep it up. I think we're at like 2.77K subscribers, so We'll be at 3K before you know it. Hopefully by the end of December, we're at 5 to 10K on the Dynasty channel. DJ, you're live.
Best show on the planet, Smitty. Just keep doing what you're doing, you know.
Thanks,
with
pal.
a bullet. We won't stop there. Etienne, I wonder, in terms of Tootin's second year and how they would share and divvy up the carry.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So how will they share the carries? Oh, hold on a second. I think we had. Hey, DJ, repeat what you just said. As soon as you said how they'll divvy up the carries, it cut out. Go ahead.
Okay. You know how they may divvy up the carries. I think Etienne finished 9. Maybe the shit don't have it in front of me there. But my point being is, I think Tootin's value is going to be good, even if nothing else in 2 years, 3 years at his trade value. But I think Tootin's going to get a little bit more work, you know, just from a standpoint of, you know, continuity, building him and using him, and Etienne can catch the ball out of the backfield. But do you think that might diminish Etienne's value a little bit?
Yeah.
Because Tootin can play. You know, when we think about throwing in the 26, you know, from a dynasty standpoint. And Tootin is 23.
It's a careful balance. It's a careful balance. You know, if you see Etienne in the discredited category, the discounted players, everybody's afraid of him, especially we're on the Dynasty channel. So 27 years old tomorrow. Do I think he could eat into Tootin's work? Sure. From a 2026 Dynasty Etienne ownership perspective, because you're still trying to win every year, I think there's some concern. You got to bake it in. But I think everybody's so panicked about it right now because of the ambiguity. He'd be easy to buy. But I also think it'd be hard to sell him now with ambiguity. So you hold if you're trying to sell, and then you try and do some of those trade packages I mentioned where you're giving up 2 players, one of them being Etienne, or 2 pieces, one of them being Etienne. But you wait until the news settles. There's, I don't want to say 0% chance, but there's a near 0% chance in my mind, at least, that he doesn't have an amazing 2026, you know, setup. I'm not saying he doesn't get his parade rained on by Tootin, but I just mean he's either returning and then that solidification makes people, okay, now I feel comfortable going after him. I know what I'm getting. Or he goes to Chicago in that example, and that's a great fit for him if they're going to bring him in and pay him. But Manungai's a threat just like Tootin. He could go, we have the running back, you know, landing spots right here. He could go, let's say, to the Washington Commanders. If Etienne was in Washington, that would be unreal. If he was in Dallas, that'd be unreal. I know they want to bring back Williams, but I don't know. Javante's going to, we'll see how that goes. I mean, Javante can go do what he wants. If he feels like I want to go get a big fat contract and Jerry's like, well, we can't do that, then maybe Etienne is in the cards. But Minnesota is an option. So all these, the Saints, I mean, any one of these landing spots, he's either going there or he's taking a hometown discount to stay in Jacksonville. And no matter what, those are great situations for Etienne. So I think if you're trading him away, you need to let that, you know, play out. And if you're trading for him or trying to steal him away in a draft, you're the earlier you draft and the quicker you try and trade for him before news settles his situation makes him cheaper. There's just different angles to look at Etienne. But from a 2026 dynasty and redraft perspective, trying to win 2026 in either format, there's certainly risk expecting him to do it without having Tootin to back him up. Because if you don't cuff it, you're in a real bad spot if this doesn't go right.
Yeah, that stands to reason. Did you mention the Chiefs as a possibility? I don't know if you broke.
Yeah, they definitely could be. Definitely could be. For sure.
Yeah.
Don't I have them on here? Yeah, Chiefs. Yeah. One of these teams.
I just know if like I said, I'm not watching them just on the phone here. You know, when you click over. But so yeah, I think Etienne, this whole rumor thing and what have you, And going back to your point earlier show, if you guys haven't checked it out, go back to the Fantasy Football Show and check it out. But when you're speaking in terms of the journalism, and the idea of Etienne going to a Chicago, I think it's just that, man. Some news, ho hum, don't give me very much sense. But you hit on something important, I think, with regard to Johnson philosophy versus Cohen's. I think you're right. I think he's going to try everything in his power to bring Etienne back. Whereas up in Chicago, Johnson is like, okay, this year happened. We are starting anew. So with that said, Swift and Monangai might be some good value. Maybe even Swift his move. They might even draft a running back.
Oh, they will.
I think
Ben Johnson will draft a running back. I can almost guarantee you that. Ben Johnson's also smart enough to bring in, I predict that Jonah Coleman. Well, maybe of the 3 or 4 spots I can envision him, one will be Chicago, because no matter what, that gives Ben Johnson that Monty. And look, Monangai is crafty enough. Just because he runs hard doesn't mean he can't be the Gibbs. Not saying that the way that he uses them will be equal to the way he used Gibbs and Monty in Detroit. This could be instead of Sonic and Knuckles, it could be Knuckles and Sonic. So if you bring in a Jonah Coleman, or even if let's say you brought in another back let's say Emmett Johnson, the rookie running back that I really, really love. He's kind of like a Cadillac Williams. You could make Monangai your Monty because he kind of fits either role. And you could lean on that more. And Emmett Johnson could be his Gibbs, but he give him the Monty volume, and it's reversed. It doesn't have to be Gibbs equals Gibbs. It could be Gibbs equals Monty and Gibbs equals Monangai. Or if they bring in Jonah Coleman, I could easily see, if Swift finally starts to break down, which we've always continued to worry about, even though he keeps doing it. He gets banged up, but if Swift breaks down, Jonah Coleman and Monangai would be fantastic.
Yeah,
so watch out for
think
Coleman.
From a dynasty. I'm sorry.
I just said watch out for Coleman. Coleman's really, really good. Jonah Coleman is such a fantastic prospect. Lots of upside. Dude scored 15 rushing touchdowns, only had 758 yards, still scored 15 rushing touchdowns, 354 receiving, 2 touchdowns additional, 17 scores, getting 156 totes, and he's good. Great receiver. I put good over here with his receiving skill set, but it's actually great. He's near great. Go ahead.
Good deal. I think, one thing, as you're speaking, I'm looking forward to once we get closer to the combine and all that draft in terms of the running backs that are coming in and your breakdown around that as it relates to dynasty. And with that said, with this year's running back class, I think Etienne's value is probably going to be a little bit higher than maybe what we're speaking of. Now, I think if you can get them now, like you said, before, the roof blows off and, but I think just with the rookie running backs that are coming in, I think Etienne's value is going to be a little bit higher. What would he be? Maybe 6th, 7th round? Maybe trying to get him in as an RB2, depending upon your build.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody taking Etienne in the dynasty draft any higher than the 5th, 6th, or 7th round with the lean towards 6, 7. But I don't know. It's hard to say because some guys will draft for the now. I have a buddy that I've been in 5 dynasty leagues with him, and I want to say 4. I'm trying to think if the 5th one he's even in the other one I'm thinking of. 4 or 5 of them have shut down. This has been buddies. This hasn't been anything to do with the show. Just over the course of me and him playing fantasy football together for 20 years, we've literally been in dynasty keeper leagues, kind of a mix of both. Probably 5 of them, and I believe they all. Yeah, I don't think he's in this other one that I'm in. I think all 4 or 5 of them shut down. And he always
That's
would
a good
draft.
point.
He'd always draft for the now. And everybody laugh at him. He like if he was going into this year's draft, he'd draft Henry, draft Christian McCaffrey, he'd draft Mike Evans, he'd draft every single old dog you could come across. And you'd be like, oh, he's going to be screwed in a couple of years. It never mattered. The dynasty leagues fold so much. They fold more than marriages in the United States. It's like over a 50% rate that a dynasty league collapses within at least 2.5 years, 3 years. By the third year, it's collapsed. Or it's in replacement mode where it's literally lost about 4 players out of the 12. And every year that same spot's getting replaced, or 2 or 3 of them. And it's like he bailed, the new guy bailed. And it's like everybody just quits. It's like it gets ridiculous. So you got to be careful. Etienne in that kind of context, like if that guy was in this draft, he'd probably draft him around 4 or 5. And we'd be like, oh, he took him early. So it's hard to know where Etienne's going to go. Right. I just know that I'm not taking him before I'm taking guys like Hendy and Harvey and Scattaboo and Lamar Jackson and obviously Josh Allen and May and all those guys. Bowers, Loveland, like you're getting all these pieces that are like dynasty, gems, building blocks, dynasty pieces that are like a cornerstone of your franchise. You're grabbing those guys before you're grabbing Etienne. So that I just can't imagine that you're through all those names until we'll have ADP soon. We don't have any good ADP right now. Even if someone gave it to us, it's garbage. I would say we'll start seeing Etienne around 6, 7. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. And I think he is that player that would be good if you want to trade up or, level up to those running backs, those top running backs. And particularly, again, and I think in this draft, even if you're moving an Etienne, and I think you saw 111, but whatever, 1.8, 1.9, 1.7, because again, if you need it back, and we're talking dynasty, that would make sense. The 2-2s, if you can get away with 2-2s and Etienne, to grab a scat or a potential 110, insert name of those that you've mentioned, that makes sense, to me as well. And great point.
Everybody should have a good mix of, veterans that can help you win now. I don't ever build for the future alone. I build for the future and now. I'm always trying to win. I never ever build for. The only thing I do that's like geared towards that is if the team's failed. I don't even take over teams really. That's not fun to me. I know some people get a kick out of that. Like I've never taken over somebody's dynasty team, and I never will. I want to draft my own team. But I could see like if the team failed and you're like, okay, I'm not winning this year. Let me just get as many picks as I can that I like. Like that I could see doing. But other than that, I'm drafting Etienne's combination with all these other great players. So Etienne's a good buy. But I'll tell you this, I'm I'm more apt to have Etienne if I've already got Tootin. It's hard to cuff, but because you're spending 2 picks on one player, but it's a good offense, man. Tootin and Etienne together is a damn fine running back too for dynasty.
Yeah, I think I'll lean into Cohen. With that said, I was thinking also when you're speaking, just in terms of just overall running back value in dynasty, when it comes to like what your friend does. I'm still going to draft a CMC. I'm going to draft a Henry. I think what I'm thinking about, that might make sense in the running back position, because again, what are we talking? Beyond the league folding, just a running back, archetype for 5 years. So that kind of makes some sense, if you're getting a true RB1.
I'd much rather have
and the balance.
And I'm not saying I don't love James Cook, especially if and James Cook does not sound like he's getting Mike McDaniel now. Mike McDaniel's still floating out there right now as we speak. But he withdrew his head coaching interview with Buffalo. We're still waiting for him to be finalized as the Chargers OC. But like had James Cook had Mike McDaniel, it'd make him a much more attractive dynasty play because of the now being so much better Doesn't necessarily, improve the longevity, but it improves the short-term next couple of years a ton. But example of what I'm trying to say is, other than that, like a James Cook is hard for me to buy into dynasty-wise. I'd rather go get the young wide receivers in that value. I don't draft positions, I draft players. So I'm not saying go wide receiver. I'm saying in general, I find myself grabbing wide receivers ahead of those James Cook guys, anyone in that zone. And then I like building a team off of, like, I'd very much rather have a Love, if Jeremiah Love's doubted a little bit, and then in the second round or wherever you're getting him, then I get Tootin and Etienne later, and then I've got this, stud top 5, top 4 wide receiver. That's kind of how I build. Or one of my favorite builds right now, period, across any team. In some cases, this might require a trade. Actually, let me put it on the board here. See if I can find this real quickly. Let's go here. This right here is my favorite team that I'm assembling now, period. Now, Bowers is a tough ADP to crack. So let me just find this real quick. Where is he at? So Gibbs, Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen you might get in 3 or 2. Bowers you might get in 3 or 2. So this is gonna be tough to land, and you just got to get lucky. And in not even dynasty and redraft, you can do some best ball. But Bowers, Allen, and Gibbs is one of my favorite combos right now. That leaves you really light at wide receiver, but this is something I like to do, and we're big JSN and Pickens, advocates last year. So you just got to find that crew. Maybe it's Olave, maybe Pickens falls again. I doubt he falls this far. But there's all kinds of wide receivers you can scoop up with this trio, regardless of how you get it. Even if Bowers is here, Allen's here. In Dynasty, you can typically trade picks too. So if you have to move up and get 2 second rounders and essentially draft Josh Allen and Bowers kind of early, both of them in the second round, and you got to sacrifice a pick somewhere, like giving somebody a free 5th or 6th round pick to make that move up or whatever. I love this start. This is a dynasty like marvel right here. All right, DJ, anything else?
I'm having.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep. Last thing. I some 3 years. I'll be going 4 years in on Dynasty. Been doing the redraft and keeper Dynasty for years. So I'm learning. And my biggest challenge when it comes to Dynasty right now is just trade values. And what kind of means, because I'm in a league and I did trade Genty, for example, and then I'll let you go. But I traded Genty. I have Bijan. I have Scat, Harvey. So I traded Genty, and got Burden, Hunter, Woody Marks, first and a third. And I don't know if in hindsight, and it's helped my team overall, but it's always a thought of could have gotten more or better. So that's my biggest thing, with
I got a trade calculator on thefantasyfootballshow.com. I just dropped that link. But you just got to think of it from a dynasty trade. Like, my trade calculator is based on auction dollars. So if you're thinking about it, do you know auction at all? Are you good at auction?
I have done auction. Yes, I'm in an auction league.
If in every league's differently, but let's say $78 is the top running back. Sometimes it's 90. So you just got to know your own league, or just set the values yourself in your head at least. But if you're talking about a Gibbs being, let me merge this call real quickly. Hold on one second. Mute yourself real quickly. I'll be right with you. Just hang tight. Let's say Gibbs is $78 in your mind, and you're trading for, a Neighbors who has, in terms of these dollar values, is like a 70. Like, you have an $8 discrepancy here, so like you just factor that in. Like, what am I trading to get that $8 back? Can I figure out a way to get in my mind, a $15 player or addition. How much is a 1.1 in terms of auction dollars? So think of it all like that. That's how my trade
Sure.
calculators work, so that you can't really trick them. It's all based on like if you were walking with an auction purse and how much you'd have to spend. That's why you could do a 3-for-1 trade, a 4-for-1 trade, a 5-for-2 trade in my calculator. But you got to understand you're getting value. If you're going and getting a $15 Mahomes or a $25 Mahomes and you don't need him, but you throw him into the calculator, it's going to add that dollar value in and tell you whether that side outweighs the other.
Perfect.
All right, DJ.
Yeah, that gives me an idea, man. Appreciate it. Best show on the planet. Good stuff, man.
Later. Appreciate you. Let's go over to Bruce. Bruce, you're loose. Go. You're live. Then Indy Joe.
Question for you, Smitty. We brought up CeeDee Lamb as someone who's doubted. Do you think JJ could go in that category if we try to do a 1-for-1 for JJ?
JJ for who?
If we put him in, like, do a with Etienne, like, say
1-for-1. No one's gonna give up on JJ for Etienne. Etienne's 27 years old tomorrow, my boy. He's 27.
I was thinking, like maybe a first-round pick and Etienne for JJ. And
I mean, you might depends where the pick is, but you might be able to get someone to bite on that. But you're not. I'm just saying, like, if you're talking about Lamb is still going to be doubted more than JJ from a dynasty perspective, but they're not that far off. But I do believe the average fantasy football dynasty player is not giving up on JJ in a long-term sense at all. But he'll be cheaper than he should be. He'll be cheaper than he will be a year and a half from now. That's for sure, because people don't want to wait. But I think you're talking about like a 28 first rounder. I don't think anybody's going to do that. No one's going to do that. They're going to want multiple first rounders, and Etienne doesn't even move the needle, bro. In a trade like that. Lamb's a little different because people are worried about Pickens. Some people don't even think Lamb's the number one anymore. And I'm not saying I agree with that necessarily or totally disagree. I love Pickens too. But Lamb's a little easier to move. You might see Lamb ranked higher than JJ for 2026 redraft, but in Dynasty, people aren't playing games like that.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious on
but try
on JJ in Dynasty.
I mean, try. I give two very late first rounders for JJ, and I throw Etienne in. Absolutely, but it would probably require multiple first rounders. I would not try and give away a 1.1 in 2027. Like, that's for sure. But if you're giving away like a middle to late first rounder in 27, you're giving away a unknown 28, and you're giving Etienne for JJ. Look, if you're in a building mode and you can wait a year and you're not like feeling like this is costing you like $1,000, prize or something like that, and you're gonna be, it's gonna be tough sledding for you anyway. Go get JJ cheap. I still think JJ could be a top 5 overall player.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you, bro.
Yep.
Later, Bruce. All right, Indy Joe, as quick as you can, pal. And then I'm out of here. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Hey, real quick. So, Dynasty format. I got offered JJ, or to get JJ for my Travion Henderson.
Man, is your team like capable of winning?
I have Jamar Chase. I do have Jamar Chase on my squad I pulled off a trade.
I love Hendy. I hope we come in here and you're like, damn it, Smitty, you said to do it. And we're celebrating Hendy because I love both of them.
No, it's never like that, man.
I know.
I never put any.
Well, no, I'm saying I know that it's gonna burn, but I'm hoping we come back in here and I'm telling everyone, Hendy, what are you doing? Why'd you trade him? But I think I still in Dynasty take JJ. But that it's look, it could be painful for one more year.
He's too good.
He's bro. Imagine if he gets traded next offseason. He's not getting traded this season. I'm just letting you know that. No, everybody thinking he's going to play with Joe Burrow. It's not happening. First of all, the Bengals. What are they going to move? They don't have money. Like what? How's that going to work? But even if he was to get traded, it's not happening until next year. The dead cap's bad. Joe Burrow's not getting traded to the Vikings. that dead cap won't be. They're not even doing it. They're not even willing to do that. Like if the Bengals don't support Joe Burrow right, and Burrow walks out angry as hell because he did a shot over the bow, told everybody, basically saying like, I don't know if I keep doing this, we got to fix this. And everyone's like, keep doing what? You're retiring? What are you talking about? It caused a lot of turmoil, but that was his shot over the bow, saying fix it this year. He's not expecting to go anywhere. He doesn't want to leave Jamar Chase this year, but if he goes through one more gruesome year, he could probably care less about anybody else but himself and his happiness and say, look, and Jamar Chase is capable of like souring the relationship a little bit on the way out for Burrow too. Like if anybody doesn't think that Jamar Chase can't like brush up against that kind of life, where he's pissing off people like Joe Burrow. I mean, you haven't been watching Jamar Chase long enough. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Right.
So, I could see like Burrow being done with all of it and JJ going, come over to Minnesota, bro. Make a stink of it. And then Bengals are like, we're not winning with them anyway. Like, I love them and everything, but like, bro, just like Tomlin. No way they're moving on from Tomlin in Pittsburgh another year. There's no way they're moving on from Tomlin in Pittsburgh another year. Okay. They're moving on from, like, I mean, it's just going to take one more blow up year where both sides are like, I don't know what this is going on here. Joe Burrow can't stay healthy. They can't start off, hot, whatever. But it's certainly not happening this year. JJ's not going anywhere. Joe Burrow's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the trade, though. I think I'm going to take
JJ. Chat, can you vote Dynasty? Would you rather have JJ or Hendy straight up in Dynasty? And I'm sorry, you said you could win or not win right now. And it almost kind of, he's in a little bit of questionable situation with volume. So it's like it's almost the same risk in a way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And I love Hendy.
I appreciate that, Smitty.
Yeah, JJ, everyone's voting JJ. All right, later, bro. Appreciate you. Go get him.
See ya.
Yeah. I got a lot of people lowballing me in Dynasty leagues for JJ right now, and it's laughable. It's not the same. Not the same as walking into a redraft league. All right, guys. See you all. Make sure you subscribe to both channels. Make sure you're over on the Patreon. That link is in the description as well. $10 a month. Cancel anytime. 24/7, 365 live chat group. Trade advice. Just talking shop. Talking about movies. What TV shows you guys looking at and streaming right now. It's just a 24/7 live chat group. It's a link in the description or patreon.com/the Fantasy Football Show. I'll see you all on the main channel tomorrow. We do 8 p.m. news like this show right here, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, Sunday, the games. I'll be live after the games. I probably won't go live before, but I'll go live after the games to recap. See you all tomorrow. Good luck. Don't forget to play a little underdog. Hires, lowers, code Smitty. Link is in the description. Use the code Smitty to get 50% match on your first deposit up to $1,000. So check that out. Make sure you get on over there. Appreciate you all. See you later.